This is Irontrader, and this is Midday Trading. So we're going to take a look here at Bitcoin. We're going to take a look here at the one-to-one relationship, which is IBIT, the ETF. The 2x relationship, BITX. Then we're going to take a look here at Microsoft and Meta. Their earnings are coming out on the 30th. And then Apple and Amazon, their earnings are coming out on the 31st. And then we'll take a look here at Tesla, which is moving up here nicely, up about almost 14 points today. Okay, this video is for information purposes only, not a recommendation to buy, sell, stock market ETF. Please like, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Okay, here we have Bitcoin, we have IBIT, and then we have BITX. Now, this is owned by BlackRock. This is a one-to-one relationship. They have about 52 billion in assets, so it's very easy to get in, big volume, easy to get out, kind of a situation. This is the one I've been trading here, is BITX. This is a 2x leverage, and gives you a lot more juice, but you got to be able to handle the juice because you have big kind of moves in both directions, okay? So let's take a look here now at the old Bitcoin. Alrighty then, here we go. Now, we made a low here today so far of 115,675 level. Okay, so we were watching right here, 115,635, and so far we're holding it. That's the gap. Okay, this is why I always point out these gaps in fill. Now, the next level is going to be right to the top of this candle at 114,380. That would be the fill. And then we have right here this 21-day at 114,154. So right now here, we just extended this box. We're trading at the bottom here. So basically, we're just trading this box. This is your high, okay, of 121,165. And so far, this is the low at 115,635 level. Okay, so this is what we'll be trading, sideways action. Now, we have a big red candle going on here, but this is how Bitcoin trades. Look at, you can see the sideways action. Basically, this is just consolidation like we had in the past. So if we just break that out here, look what we have. Come here, then we had that consolidation, rallied up, consolidation, and then we have a big consolidation, and then she broke through all the way up. Now, remember, last week was the big crypto thing at the White House there, or whatever it was in Washington, and they were discussing, you know, stable coin and Bitcoin and putting rules on and all this kind of thing. So that's why you had some big, really good moves up here. But what you have to do is respect this topping tail. We had the same topping tail on a weekly. So when you get these, a lot of times is you'll just come right about pretty much where it closed at, and you'll get that sideways action kind of a situation until she either going to break up or going to break down. So what you really want to watch again is just watch the bottom of that candle. That's at 115,635. Then watch the top. That's that gap filled, 114,380. Then we have your 21-day. Now, if we start losing that, then we're going to come right to the top here. You're looking at 112,590. We'll come to the bottom of this candle here at 110,880, and then we're going to be looking right here at that 109,659. That is your 50 SMA. But let's just respect this 21-day because it's been holding here very, very nicely. Now, on the upside here, what we want to watch is yesterday's low. Okay, you're looking at 117,305. Then we'll be watching at 118,534. That is your 8-day. Then we can go to the top of today's candles. You're looking at 119,880. And then we can come up top of this candle at 125.40. And then here's the 121,165. That is your box area. You get above that, we're going to be heading right for that 123,615, which eventually I think you're going to break that out. You can go to 125.5, 130, and I think 135. They're probably not in the near future. Now, if you're trading the one-to-one relationship here, you can see how it's pretty much the same scenario kind of thing. Okay, so when you break that out, you can see where everything is pretty much the same. Okay, so you look at your RSI, even here on the 2x leverage, everything is pretty much the same with the MACD going all the way across. This just gives you a little bit more juice. But again, now this is down here to one relationship is down $1.92, where this is down $3.72. Okay, so you got to be able to handle that juice one way or the other. Now, when we look at this here, this one-to-one, you can see where they have the nice big red candle, and then these here don't open, right away on the daily chart. Now, if you put on a 1 minute or 5 minutes, 15 or hour or whatever you put on, then yes, you have the situation. But right now, see, this goes 24 hours. This doesn't. So that's why you see that big gap and you see the red candle. So you always want to put the Bitcoin on the same chart. So no matter what you're trading, if you're saying you're trading this, then you put those side by side. But always go off the actual commodity. Even if you're trading ETFs with gold or silver or crude oil, natural gas, always put the actual commodity right up on the same chart so you can see exactly what's happening. So if this comes all the way down to this 21-day at 114,156, this might surpass it on your 64 level, and you might come down a little bit lower. So this is what you really want to chart this is what you want to trade, and this is what you want to trade. So you can see where the distance is. You're down to 64 level there, and this one here is coming down to 59.88 level, okay? So again, this is the relatively same kind of a chart that just the BITX gives you more juice. However, with this pays about between a 10 to 11% dividend. So if you be in here before the 29th, I believe, of July, then you'll get the dividend get paid next week here on whatever shares that you have, okay? Last time I got a nice good 800 and I think it was $14 dividend, which was very, very good. They paid 54 cents a share. So that was really, really good dividend. Now I up my shares on this, and any kind of a pullback on this, I am a buyer. Okay, so again, if you're trading the 1-to-1, this is a great trade. If you're trading the 2-to-1, this is a great trade. But always, always, always chart the actual commodity. Okay, let's take a look here now at Microsoft. All right, here we have Microsoft is one of my favorite trades here also, and you can see here the nice good gap up. Now, let's just take a look at what they did in the earnings in the past. Okay, so we have the earnings, and then it rallied up nicely. This earnings here kind of sideways, and then it rallied up nice. This earnings here, it fell right off, but look at this earning, the last earnings, okay? So look where it is. It gapped right up here, and it just kept right on going. And look at that 8-day, how nice has it been holding. And even when he lost the 8-day, where did it go? Right to the old catch-all, the 21-day right there, nicely. Now, what we're watching is this 514.64 level, okay? So if it does have good numbers and it breaks above that 514, then we'll be looking for that 520, 525, and you work your way up to 550 level. Now Google came out and they had really, really good numbers. The stock got as high as 197, but now you're seeing it at 193. So again, remember, it's not the news that matters, it's the reaction to the news. It's just like Google ran up, people thinking, okay, this is going higher, and it actually came off. Okay, so always remember that's the same thing that could happen to Microsoft. However, if we close above that 514.64, then this could go, then we'll be targeting that 520, 25, 30, and work your way up to 550 area here on the old Microsoft. Now, on the downside, just watch this 8-day 509. Very, very key. Okay, respect it because look how many times that has held it. And then we want to look right there at that 502. That's going to be very key. And then we look at this price channel at 488. And then we can come down to that 50-day at 482 if it gets sold off. Now, you can see here we have like an overbought condition, but you can see how nice and strong this RSI is holding here as we're moving on up here. Very, very nice. There really isn't any kind of a divergence. This is just shows you that this is just very strong, and you have a really good trade melt up all the way on up. Now, again, we have sideways action. That could go either way. But again, when earnings come out, just watch that 514.64 area. I will sell some of my Microsoft here probably before earnings, and then I usually sell about half, and then I'll hold on to the other half, and I'll be watching that 8-day, and I'll be watching that 21 SMA, and then if that's lost, I'll be watching that price channel, and then I'll be watching that 482 level. Okay, let's take a look here now at Meta. All right, here we have Meta. Now, their earnings are coming out here also on the 30th, okay? So let's just look at the earnings. So we had it up here, and then we had the sideways action, then we had a run up. Now, here, we started there, and we still had a nice, good run up. Here's the last earnings that we had, gapped up, and then ran right up again, okay? So very, very nice. Now, we're holding that 8-day as of right now. We came right on down, but you notice that we're always holding that 50-day. So if you lose that 8-day, look to the 21-day. If not, look to that 50-day. Now, we're sitting right on this 21-day right now at 717. If we get above that, then what we'll be looking for is the top of this candle right here. That was yesterday, 723.62. Then we come up top of this candle. You're looking at a 728 level. Then we'll come up there at 737. And then we're going to be looking for that 747.90. Now, again, when the earnings come out, we got to see what the reaction is going to be because right now we had a really tremendous run all the way on up. Okay, so just got to be very, very careful here. It's not the news again that matters, but it's the reaction to it. Now, we cracked that 747. Obviously, you're going to start heading for that 760 level and probably work yourself all the way up to the 800 if you can close above that key 747 level. Now, what you really want to watch on the upside is that 717. That's going to be very key. Now, on the downside, watch that 708. You want to hold that 8-day. Like you see where the 8-day crossed over, but now it kind of crossed right back up and looking very good. If you lose that 8-day, then we're looking at 701 41, and then we're going to be looking for this 50-day at that 690 level, okay? But then again, there's a lot more, that you can go all the way on down. You got a 678 level. We always come to the left of the chart here at 662 level and just keep working it down. Now, there is a gap right here. Like I say, now, it's not going to sell off here now, but I think eventually this gap is going to be filled. So watch that 570.50. There's your gap, and then we look to the top of that candle at 549, okay? Gap and fill. I always like to point that out. There's another one all the way down here. We're looking down at 516.52, and then we look at 506. Now, I'm not saying that's where it's going to go. I'm just saying if this stock gets hammered, not today, not tomorrow, not even on earnings, but in that end of August, September, October area, if it does get hammered, we always have your support levels all the way on down here, okay? So just remember that, okay? Now, RSI here, now you can see here how strong it was. Then she came off here, pretty good. Now, your green is still below your red, but let's just see how the numbers, I think everybody's waiting to see what the numbers, because this has had a hell of a run. If you look at this nice double bottom situation, see, we had a nice double bottom. Look at that low at 479, and then it got all the way up to 747. So this is a really, really good trade. Another one of my favorites. Okay, let's take a look here now at Apple. Okay, here we have Apple, and realistically, when you look at it compared to the other ones, this is kind of a lagger, kind of a situation. Now, the earnings are coming out on the 31st, so we got to see how they all shake out. But realistically, we made this nice high, okay? So all I do is we take that price channel, okay, 216.23. Okay, and that's basically the top of that candle. And we just kind of like working it sideways, but you can see here, it's almost like a consolidation here. Okay, that's what we're looking at. So now what we're walking is 216.23. If you crack above that, then what we're going to be looking for is going to be looking here for the bottom of this candle right here. Okay, so you take a look at that candle. It's 221.02. That is your gap fill. And then we're going to be looking at the 200-day at 222 level. Now, we got to see how all Apple shakes out here. If you get above all that, then we have a nice here at 225.62. We work ourselves up to 241. We can come all the way up here to 244. And then we can retest this area here at that 250 flat level. But right now, we got to see how it all shakes out. But remember, Apple is so big, it's like turning the Titanic. So let's look at their previous earnings. So here's one earnings. Look at this. Came up and it rips up. They always have a way of beating, okay? So right there, and look at it. All the way up and ripped up nicely. Same thing here. Ripped up nicely. And then right here, we had this earnings, and it kind of fell apart. It was kind of like a sideways chop situation. So bottom line, just watch that 216 level. If you can get above that, watch that gap fill, and then watch that 200-day at 222. Now, on the downside, we want to watch that 8-day at 212, that 21-day at 210. That's your support levels. And then we want to watch 207, and then that 50-day at 205. Then we have your retest at 199, which is basically just the bottom of that candle. Now, we could come all the way down here. You got 195.07. We have 193.46, and we could come all the way down here to the bottom of there at that 189 level. Now, again, we got to see how the earnings all shake out. Now, you got to figure this never got to like an overbought situation. You just have a very, very, like a sideways stock going here. The green is, they're just kind of kissing together. So, again, this is just, we got to wait and see if you're trading this. This is not my favorite trade anymore. It's just too big. It's like steering the Titanic. It's just too big. But just watch that 216 on the upside. Then you could possibly get to that, that 200 SMA there. Okay, let's take a look here now at Amazon. Okay, here we have Amazon. Now, this is one of my favorite stocks. I love the company. I love the delivery service. They put a distribution center in where I live, and wow, is that nice. Before, we used to get the packages from UPS or FedEx or whatever. They would deliver it. Could be 4 or 5 in the morning, in the afternoon, sometimes 7 o'clock at night. This here at the distribution center, boom. You get all your packages by, like, say, 1 o'clock. They just send you, they take a picture, they send it right to your email. You know exactly it's right in front of your door. Okay, I mean, really good system. And I think that they eventually down the road, they'll have their own distribution and everywhere, and they don't have to worry about all that, UPS with these $140,000 drivers to drop a package off at the door. I mean, come on already. Okay, it's just dropping a package off. It's not that big of a thing. So when we're looking at this whole situation here, we have this sideways action looking really good, but look how nice this is uptrending. Now, yesterday we put in this high at 236 flat. Okay, see how nice that is? Now, what we're looking for here next is if you look at the bottom of that candle, you're looking at 236.01. That's exactly where we came. Okay, so we filled that gap right there. Okay, now we're looking at the top at 239.66. Then we have that retest up there at 242.50. You crack that, you're going to that 250 area and work yourself up to the 300. Okay, very, very nice. But you look at here at the RSI, it's not overbought, not by a long shot. This is very, very nice. This is very, very good. I'm long the stock. And what I usually do on these trades is I'll sell half before the day of the earnings, and then I'll see how it shakes out at the other, like in the after hours, if I want to sell the other half or what I want to do. Okay. Now on the downside, we want to watch that 8-day because that's going to key 227, and then we want to watch that 224 level, that 21-day. If we lose that, we have the 50-day at 215, the 200-day at 208, and we come down here to that 202 level. Okay. Very, very nice. Now again, if this stock down the road does get hammered, I just want to show you what we have here. 197.85, there's your gap. And then right at the top of that candle is 194.69, there's your fill. We'll come down to the bottom of this candle here at 178.85, there's your gap. And then we look to the top of that candle, 176.78, there's your fill. Gap, fill, if this stock sells right on off here down the road. Not today, but I'm just warning you about that end of August, September, October period. A lot of times that can be very, very fickle situation. So what you want to do is watch that 236 flat. If you can crack above that, we have a nice retest up here at that 242, which is not far away. We crack that, you're going 250, and you're going to work yourself all the way up to 300. Very, very nice trading stock. Okay, let's take a look here at Tesla. Okay, Tesla had their numbers on the 23rd, and if you listen to the conference call and you look at the numbers, man, you got declining sales, declining revenues the last 2 quarters, and then they're warning here about the next couple of quarters out are not going to be good, okay? However, this is for me is a trading stock, okay? Because I look at like Elon and what they're doing here. He's like he's selling notions at the pier kind of a situation, a flim flam man kind of thing. Now is to say, okay, the Cybertruck, well, we're going to up production here and end at 226, and nobody wants this truck. Nobody's going to pay $100,000, and then you sell it a year down the road to get 60 grand, okay? Then you're talking about robo-tax expense. You got to get permits. You got to get, you got to lay the groundwork before you start going into all these cities. Whammo's already in 16, 18 cities, and they're way ahead of the game. Now he's talking about he's going to have these, he's making 5,000 robots, and everything's going to be autonomous by the end of the year. It's never going to happen. Okay, so always take that consideration. Okay, yeah, he's doing a lot of things, but he's doing too much kind of a situation, and you're not really focused on what you're actually doing. That's just my opinion. Personally, I think this is a $30 stock. However, it isn't. Okay, right now it's a $320 stock. So I jumped in there this morning. Okay, Tesla there. Let's see what he got here. Tesla got as low as 308. In regular time, it got as high as 320. I got it in a little late. I'm in there at 310, and I got it still rolling. So I'm up 10 points on this stock. So to me, as a trading stock, just don't get caught up in this nonsense, what I'm saying, about this and this. This is a trading stock. I don't think this is a really what you call a buying hold kind of a situation. You have a high here, a lower high, and a lower high. Now, if we can get back above this candle right here at 367, then yes, then this is a buy and hold stock because then we have a lot of levels going all the way up there. You got 419, you got 439, we have 465, and then we have 488, okay? But right now, this is just a trader's situation going in there. Just use stop losses, take profits. Don't fall for all this kind of a nonsense that's going on here, okay? Because realistically, you just look at the numbers. If you listen to the conference call, he's promising the world that it's not going to happen, kind of a situation. It's very amateurish, okay? So anyway, what we're watching on the upside here is you're going to watch this 21-day. You're above that right now at 315. We want to watch that 319.64. That's that 200-day. And then we want to watch that 323. That's your 8-day. And then we want to watch that 50-day at 326. We get above that, we got to retest there at 338. Okay, I will be selling this stock here. I put a stop loss in there right now at 318. So I'm going to see what's going to happen with that. So I'd be up there 8 points right now. I'm up 10 points, but let's just see how this all shakes out. But just take the money, put it in your pocket. You can always buy it back. That's the beauty of it. It's a good trading stock because it always moves. It's always in play. It's one of these meme stocks that people, I got to get into Tesla. And I always ask the question, why? Okay, for me, this is just money. Okay, you're trading money. That's it. That's all this is. Okay. So now just remember those subsidies are going to be cut off here come end of September. So they're going to be losing $7,500 for each car. Anybody who buys it is not going to have that $7,500 credit anymore. Okay. So just remember that it's going to be more of a full price situation. Okay. So just watch here that on the closing basis, that 21 day, the 200 day, the 8 day sitting right there at that 323, and then watch that 50 day at that 326, and then we can get up to 338. Now here on the downside, well, obviously we want to watch yesterday's high looking at 310, and then we want to watch today's low at that 308, and then we'll come to yesterday's low at that 300.41. Then we have that 100 day at 294, and then we have the 288 level. Okay, but right now we have this sideways action. Okay, so it's working good sideways. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, we're working sideways action kind of a situation, just pretty much like what we had here. So we are going to get those ups and downs, but that's just why I like this. That's why I like trading oil, because there's big movement every day. Okay, big movement every day in both ways. Easy way to trade this short, TSLS. I was in a nice short. That short is gone because I am just here to make money on the stock. Okay, what happens to Tesla? I could really care less. Okay, I don't care less if the company goes right out of business. It means absolutely nothing to a guy like me. Okay, I just look here to trade the situation. So just watch these charts because the charts work out really good. Just watch those simple moving average and then watch that 338 and see what happens. Now, if we start getting above these key levels here, especially that level there, 367 level, then yes, you could go all long because we have a lot of good targets and we can retest that 488. Okay, but again, just trade this until something like that would happen. Okay, now we had this negative divergence. Okay, low high and the lower high. Then we had high and higher high, and you can see how that thing fell right on off down, all the way on down. All right, but now we just have this sideways action here, sideways action on the MACD. So again, trader stock, trader stock, trader stock. Now the key level here to watch is just always watch the bottom of that candle. That's at 273.21. If you lose that, you got a big gap down here at 244, and then we got that fill sitting at 242 level. Then we can come all the way down and retest that 214 level. Okay, so again, just be very, very careful with this. Trade this stock. Okay, that's what I got for you. I'll be back here after your pit close, and we'll take a look here at Bitcoin, gold, silver, crude oil, natural gas, and we'll take a look at the old indexes, which are up there pretty green, pretty nicely. All right, trade what's in front of you, not what you want.